I have 5 credit card myths that everybody I'm hearing, I hear it so much. Not everybody, but I hear it so much, so I want to talk about it. Let's get right into the video. My name is Walter. This is the Credit Card Maestro channel. We talk about travel, credit. We do travel vlogs. I'm talking about the stimulus package and most importantly, how to build, maintain, rebuild your credit for financial freedom. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you are, welcome back. If you aren't, welcome. Today, again, 5 credit card myths. I want to debunk them. I want to talk about them. Let's get into it. So number 1 is going to be, and I got my iPad right here to keep me with the notes. Number 1 is going to be canceling cards you aren't using. Guys, this one is big because whenever you cancel a card, let's say for example, you've had credit for 10 years, right? And you've had this credit card. This was your first credit card. You had it for 10 years and you're not using it anymore for a bunch of reasons. Maybe the reason you're not using it is because you may not like it anymore. Maybe it doesn't give you what you're looking for 10 years in a line. Maybe it was just a stepping stone to get to where you were. Well, if you close that out, you've closed all that history on that card for the last 10 years. That's going to dramatically hurt your score. My suggestion, you have cards that you don't use, that you don't want to use, put something small on there. We are all quarantined right now. Netflix, Hulu, Sling, gym memberships when they come back. Something like that to keep them active, but to not get them closed. You never want to close cards, especially cards that don't have annual fees. That would be the only exception. If you're not really getting the benefit from the annual fee credit cards, that would be my only suggestion. Close those cards out if you can't downgrade to a no annual fee card. But just to keep it simple, if you have a no annual fee credit card that you've had for X amount of years, do not close it out. It's going to hurt your score dramatically. Number 2 is going to be too many credit cards are bad. I know people who have one credit card with maybe a 700 credit score. I know people who have 20 to 30 cards and they're in the 800s. It does not matter how many credit cards you have. It's all about how you are using your credit cards. It's always about how you're using your credit cards and how your credit history looks. Do you have late payments? Do you have things like that, collections, bankruptcies, all that stuff. It does not matter how many credit cards you have. No. So that's the myth. You can have one card and have a great credit score. You can have 1,000 cards and have a great credit score. You can have 1,000 cards and have a horrible credit score. Or you can have one card and have a horrible. It does not matter. So having too many or not enough credit cards doesn't matter. The more, honestly, the better, because it helps your score, because it helps your credit utilization. You have more to spend, which is good. So you can actually spend more. Your credit utilization is a lot higher than someone who only has one credit card. So actually having more credit available to you could actually be a good thing. Number 3, carrying a balance is a good thing. It's a good thing because the banks like it. That's what I hear. The banks like it. They're going to give you a better credit rating and all that stuff. No, I think that's a myth. I don't think it is a myth. Me personally, pay it off in full every month. Pay it off in full every month. Do not keep a balance. Keeping a balance is good for one reason. If you like making the bank's money, go ahead and keep a balance on your card. But if you don't, and you're in the best interest of yourself, which you should be, pay it off in full. It's the best way to go. Your credit score is going to be better if you pay it off in full as opposed to if you carry a balance. And you're going to be saving money because you don't have any interest to pay. 4, this one is a big one because you have the big guys like Dave Ramsey that say, oh, credit cards are, a snake, or I forget what he says, but whatever. Don't pay him no mind. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a well-educated guy, but when it comes to that, I disagree. Respectfully disagree. Credit cards are not a scam. Credit cards can bite you if you don't use them correctly, just like anything else in life, though. If you drive a car too fast, you can hurt yourself. If you eat too much of unhealthy foods, you can hurt yourself. If it's everything in this world can bite you if you do too much of it or if you use it improperly. It's the same thing with credit cards. That's the best example to put it at. Again, if you drive a car too rough on a rainy day, you're probably going to hydroplane, right? If you're riding your bike too fast and you go over, some rocks, you're probably going to mess up your bike. Stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessarily bad, it's how you use it. Credit cards are not a scam. I've had a lot of success. I've done a lot of things with credit cards that I wouldn't have been able to do at that point in my life. because of monetary reasons, and credit cards have taken me to that next level. It's given me a YouTube channel. Credit cards are a great thing, so keep that in mind. It's not a scam. Just make sure you're using it properly. 5, maxing out a credit card is okay as long as you're paying it in full. Wrong. A big thing you want to keep in mind is you want to keep your utilization to about 30%. So let's say total you have $1,000 of credit, right? 30% of $1,000 is $300. Now that's standard, or what I like to call basic. There's nothing wrong with being standard or basic, but if there's anything I'm ever going to teach you on this channel, you want to be better than standard, you want to be better than basic, right? You don't want to be basic. Let's just be it. We want to be better. So you want to try to get it closer to zero. That lower to zero, the better. The number closer to zero, the better. So 10% utilization, 5% utilization. So you want to bring it down. So if you have a credit card for $1,000, you don't want to max it up to $1,000 and be like, it's okay. You want to make sure you spend no more than about $200 to $100. Again, you can be standard and do $300, but you always want to be better than standard, because there's so many people that are standard. You know, standard is the standard. You want to try to be above that so you can stand out. All right, and that's just me. That's just how I am. That was the video for today. If you guys found it helpful, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what your myths are. Let me know if you have any other credit card questions, credit card myths that you want me to debunk or talk to you about. I'd be more than happy to do so. If you found that video helpful, give me a thumbs up. I'll talk to you in another video. Take care.